Good afternoon everybody. Oh my goodness, we've started over at Nkoro Bush Lodge in the Sabi Sands today with a giant herd of buffalo that have just come for a midday wallow. Isn't this crazy? Barely unable to count these buffalo. My name is Kerry Dupree and I will be your guide here today on Live at the Waterhole. What a lovely way to start the show with some bumbling buffaloes. I'm sure dying to have a bit of a wallow. The temperatures have warmed up a little bit this week in South Africa. Last week was a very miserable cold week. We had low temperatures of 3 to 4 degrees and high temperatures of 16 to 18. But this week looks like it's going to be a nice sunny week over in Johannesburg as well as other parts of South Africa. Although we still have a bit of that chilly and nippy, windy winter weather hitting us today. So just a reminder, folks, that this is a live and interactive experience. You can watch us on our app, or if you're watching this on the website, you can register to ask your questions. Let us know what you would like to see. Join in the chitter-chatter of the day. Let me know what snacks you have to accompany you on the show today. How did your weekend go? You can also use the QR code on screen, and from time to time there will also be a WhatsApp line that you can also use to send through those questions and comments. So with me today on the MC team, we have Chulu, and over in tech, we have Mojulefa as well as Simba here in a sunny Johannesburg. So I have been on a bit of a birding mode lately, and I've been struggling to disengage. So today I think we will also be trying to get as many birds as we can. We got 34 birds on our list on Friday, which is not bad, but I'm trying to break my record of 40 birds on one day live at the Waterhole. I can hear some red-billed oxpeckers amongst these buffalo, as well as a little three-banded plover that is just vocalized somewhere. Shame, I wonder what happened to our warthog. There were some warthogs here earlier, as well as a hippo, that big hippo male that sometimes frequents this waterhole. Isn't this a crazy amount of buffaloes? It's lovely to listen to them for a moment. They sound like cows with the vocalization. Got some comments coming through. Hello, Spas Inkov is sending greetings. Great to see. I guess you're saying great to see me again today, Spas, and it is great to see you live at the Waterhole, and nice to begin with one of our big five. We've got another comment from Kim, who says, what a huge herd of buffalo. So Kim, this is a massive herd of buffalo that we have today here live at the Waterhole. Mostly females, a couple of males. The oxpeckers are going absolutely mad, going mental. So what have our viewers got to keep them entertained during the show? I just had a cappuccino and a protein shake filled with a lot of very unusual spices. Like I always put cinnamon, nutmeg and a bit of cayenne pepper into my morning protein shake. So I'd like to know what our viewers have got with them today. Hello Joanne Miller, and happy Monday. I hope we all had a lovely weekend and ready for a new week to start. So this is quite a mixed herd that we've got here. You can see right in front of the screen here there is a big male buffalo. There's a couple of other males that I can see, but these are mostly females. So it's a mixed herd of the African Cape buffalo, usually in very large groups, lots of calves as well, and with very few dominant males. Other social structures of these buffaloes, we've been seeing a few bachelor bulls over at Salati on Sandela, a few buffalo bulls roaming around. These herds can be anything from 20 individuals up to thousands of individuals, all in one big family group. So Fuzzy Dunlop has sent a comment. Happy Monday, Fuzzy Dunlop. No snacks for you today, Fuzzy Dunlop, I guess. But I want one of your beer boots, Kerry. Haha. Yes, Fuzzy Dunlop. So I had some great birding on the weekend. Found a new little birding hotspot. Sorry, I think we had some difficulties with our camera there, folks. We had just a little bit of challenges with our camera there, but we have linked across to Old Donyo, where we have some elephant bulls having their midday drink, some zebra, as well as a few giraffe. So Fuzzy Dunlop, yes, I've found a lovely new place just outside of Johannesburg where it's great for a good beer, some birding with your binos, and I got a bird lifer actually at this new little spot. It's called Constructive Lodge and Spa. So it's on a huge property, lots of nice rolling hills and mountains, and I got a lesser swamp warbler yesterday, which for me to get a bird lifer is quite difficult, so I was rather excited about that bird lifer. Managed to get a few birding checklists in this weekend, and yeah, I was very impressed with the amount of birds that we managed to get just in a very short period of time. So if anyone is in Johannesburg or surrounding areas, you want to do some birding as well as get out of town, maybe do some hiking, I would definitely recommend Kloofsig Nature Reserve and Spa. Beautiful little spot to go do some birding, get out of the town, get out of the city. So Catherine sent through a comment, could be the same herd that was at Chitwa yesterday. So I guess this is the buffalo that Catherine's talking about. So we started off the show with some buffalo, and I remember Amy had some great sightings of some buffalo recently as well. So yeah, could be same herd that's all moving through that area. With such a large size herd of buffalo, you do need to move quite a lot in order to feed all of those hungry mouths. Got some lazy zebras starting off their day, their week in a bit of a slower pace. This little zebras looks like he's about to fall asleep and have a good nap. Got another comment from Mr. Elemental. I just had a Vegemite sandwich. Thank you, Mr. Elemental, for sharing your snack. Vegemite sandwich with some cheddar cheese or some cottage cheese would be quite a nice midday snack, I would say. So nice choice in your sandwich there, Mr. Elemental. We've got Vegemite here in South Africa as well, but we also have bovril. So bovril is quite delicious too, good for a snack platter. I wonder what these elephants are up to. We've got some nice big elephant bulls in the shade, resting up in the shade of this tree here. They also look like they've had a bit of a busy weekend, starting their week off at a bit of a slower pace, just resting under the shade of the trees as the temperature starts to increase over in Kenya. So Josh Drawn has sent through a comment. Apparently it looks like it is the daily board meeting over at Old Donyo. I'm sure they are all raising their points and contributing to the facts that they feel like need to be shared. What is happening here? Is it a monkey and its tail? Vervet monkeys. I thought I saw a little tail flicking across the screen. This little vervet monkey looks like he's also come to join in the daily board meeting to make sure that his opinion is also heard. Naughty little terrors. Whoop. Getting up to no good as usual. Well, we're going to continue our birding for the day, folks. I'm having serious birding withdrawals, so I hope you don't mind if we spend some time today birding. Of course, we'll also be admiring all the wildlife that is out there for us to see. If we're lucky, sometimes we get some little wagtails around this pan, maybe some wattled starlings, maybe some widers. Oh, these are very big elephant bulls. Hello, boys. I wonder if this vervet monkey is going to be brave enough to come and drink at the waterhole. I'll just listen to the sound of these elephants drinking for a moment, have a nice quiet moment, and this little vervet monkey is quite entertaining as well, full of beans. Oh, this is a massive elephant bull in the middle here. See how the other elephants, the other younger bulls seem to move out of the way. It's just a sign of respect respecting their elders, otherwise they will definitely be pushed out of the way by these bigger bulls. So we've got a question from Andrew. Andrew is asking, is it mainly elephant bull herds that attend Old Donyo, I guess this waterhole that you're talking about, Andrew? So yes, as far as I understand, this area that this pan is located is quite far away and also quite rugged and uneven terrain to get into this kind of basin where this pan is. So it's very, as the dry season approaches, a lot of these pans, natural pans, are all drying out. So the breeding herds generally tend to hang out in the areas with more availability of water and food. So it's not often that you get breeding herds coming to this pan here. It's mostly these bigger elephant bulls because they can move for further distances without having access to water and also without having access to food. So it looks like it's green at the moment, lots of late rains here in Kenya, so incredible time for these elephant bulls. But during the dry season it definitely becomes very harsh out there for these animals. You do have to move quite far distances in order to find food.
For years we've shared virtual wildlife. Now let's experience it for real. I'm Lauren Arthur and I'd love to show you my amazing home here in the Greater Kruger of South Africa. This 5-night journey is an exclusive connection to my piece of untamed Africa. I live here in these gorgeous landscapes surrounded by epic wildlife. The wild is calling, so come and join me.
Even our hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh. This is action-packed. My full name is Cedric Leslie Dold. I grew up mostly in the Lowveld. I grew up here pretty much on the southern side of Kruger National Park, a place called Marloth Park, for most of my years. Something surprising about myself, I did play drums in a band for many years. Best sighting I presented, we found Palumba and the 2 cubs, and the cubs are just way big.
And that's it for this morning's drive.
She's just got her impala, everybody.
And we're going to be heading out and seeing what animals we can find.
And elephant movements. Elephants can walk between 10 to 20 kilometers per day. Of course, they can move much further than that if there's no food, but in times of drought, they can move up to 50 kilometers a day to find food and water. So they usually walk at quite a relaxed pace, between 4 to 6 kilometers an hour, if they're not feeding too much. But I mean, elephants can also sprint very quickly, up to 20 to 25 kilometers an hour if threatened. So you do not want to mess with an elephant. You know, they seem very big and clumsy most of the time, but it's amazing how quickly those elephants can turn on you and all of a sudden are right on top of you before you even know it. So definitely do not underestimate the speed of these incredible creatures. So elephants are quite water-dependent animals. They do need to drink daily if possible. I mean, big bulls like this can go for a few days without drinking water. But the breeding herds with those little calves, of course, need to be able to drink at least once a day. So during the dry seasons, that's when a lot of these elephants will all spread out into smaller groups because of kind of the lacking of food and water. But then during the rainy season, that's when they kind of move towards areas and follow the rains and wherever there's more food for them. Oh, look at this elephant. He's balancing his trunk on his tusk. Alrighty folks, why don't we head over to Victoria Falls and see if we can get some birds over in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. Alrighty, so coming in at bird number 3 on our list today. We've started off a little bit slow. We got distracted by some animals, but always good to enjoy those giant elephants. So we've got some marabou storks looking like they're giving themselves a morning preen. And I think I can see some helmeted guinea fowls in the distance there. Oh, look, the guinea fowl also look like they are dust bathing themselves. Can also hear what sounds like some little waxbills. Could be some little common waxbills calling in the background there. It's perfect little thickets close to this pan. That would be an ideal spot for these little waxbills to dive into the thickets before coming down for a drink. Little blue waxbills. We had great luck on Friday over at Lentori with the waxbills. Lots of incredible birds over there in Lentori. Sometimes a bit tricky to identify, but very cool bird species in all of our locations. So we have a comment about one ton. We had a question about when one ton, the big elephant tusker, was last seen in Aldonio. Safari Cat has sent a comment. If one ton didn't come last week, I wasn't able to watch then. He last came on July 10th. So Safari Cat, I think I agree with you there. I did not have any sightings reported or hear of one ton being seen. So I think if you might be correct, he was last seen in July. Alrighty, we've got some more birds here. Our little helmeted guinea fowl. Very jovial and full of life. This looks like a youngster coming down to drink. And then I think we have 2 little laughing doves. Here, a grey go-away bird. No vultures. Oh, and there's a hardy-dar ibis. We had a debate about hardy-dar ibises last week, so I guess always a special place for every creature in the circle of life. Oh, this hardy-dar looks like he's quite beautiful. Might be in breeding season. Have a look at his bill. It's a little bit more vibrant red color on his bill, and you can see his wings have a beautiful wing cover that is glistening in the sunlight. I wonder if there's any vultures at our waterhole today. Any vultures around? So we have a question here from Q. Q Q is asking, are marabou storks found all over Africa? So Q, as far as my Newman's Bird app shows, marabou storks are mostly common in southern Africa, but I have seen marabou storks also in parts of Namibia as well. But yeah, generally they are also quite they need to be close to water areas, and they do urbanize quite easily as well. So definitely a lot of change in the distribution between marabous and moving, because they can urbanize themselves quite well, these marabou storks. Okay, we've got some more birds here. So I did see a African jacana, and I think there were some little red-billed waxbills just by this log here. Isn't that a beautiful little jacana? Some little red-billed waxbills. Marabou storks are such unusual looking birds. Again, one of the ugly 5, but always a very crucial part of the ecosystem. They also help to keep our environment clean. They're like free garbage disposal systems of the natural world, so they're such an important part of our ecosystem here in Africa. Oh, I think we have a black crake. So yesterday, the last 2 days of my birding endeavors, I've counted more Eurasian or common moorhens and red-knobbed coots than I thought ever existed. So definitely a very common bird there. So just to answer your question again about the marabous, so yes, they have moved also up into areas of Eastern Africa. And as I mentioned, they generally will follow these wetlands. So as I mentioned, they're quite restricted to watery areas, so they'll follow wetlands, riverbanks, and any human settlement where they could find food. Yeah, they do also occur, marabou storks do also occur in grassland areas, and unfortunately they are also quite common around dumps, any kind of, or abattoirs, any human settlements where they can get an easy meal at scavenging. Hello, little black crake. He's quite a cute little bird, isn't he? Always very busy bobbing his tail up and down. I do love those bright yellow legs, and he should have a red bill, but sometimes the juveniles take a bit of time to reach their full adult colors. I think I also saw a ring-necked dove, 2 ring-necked doves flying in on the other side of the pan there. Looks like all the birds are either busy grooming themselves today or busy hunting. I feel like it's a bit of a repetitive schedule of a bird. They spend most of their days grooming and feeding and grooming. Oh, our ring-necked dove, I think. So Spicy Inkov has asked a question about how common are guinea fowl at Victoria Falls. So Spicy Inkov, guinea fowl are very common actually in most countries in southern Africa, so Zambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa. But for me, the special guinea fowl species are like your plumed guinea fowl or your crested guinea fowl. So plumed guinea fowl, you'd find them more in coastal forests, so like in Tunzini, Richards Bay, perfect place for this plumed guinea fowl. And then crested guinea fowl, another one of my favorite, you do also find in Zimbabwe, also in Victoria Falls. But if you have a look at this habitat here, this is quite open, shrubby, mopani habitat. So these crested guinea fowl would hang out more in your Gusu sand. So it's your Kalahari sand that is over many decades blown in from Botswana. So you get these just outside of Victoria Falls where this location is based. You get these kind of very gradually undulating hills filled with this Kalahari sand that has been blown in from Botswana over many years, and it's teak. You get teak in those forests, and those forests are a perfect place for your crested guinea fowl. Alrighty, got some more birds to add to the list here. What do we have? I know there's lots of vultures that generally hang out on this tree, so it could be our white-backed vultures. 2 white-backed vultures here. It's almost the feeding time, maybe in the next half an hour or so. Looks like we have some, could be palm swifts. So Vic Falls is also very well known for having palm swifts that do occur quite commonly in the area because of all those ilala palms or wild date palms that occur just along the edge of the Zambezi River. So another
this unfolds in front of you.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
My full name is Cedric Leslie Dold. The best driver at Wild Earth, it is me. I believe I'm the best driver. I think so because I've... There's a part of my job, I say, is just to try and look out for these animals, track them down. I love tracking animals. I love looking for, fresh tracks, and if you can find them, it's just at the moment of accomplishment. If I wasn't a presenter for Wild Earth, I would be the drummer for AC/DC.
Join us on the greatest and largest game drive in the world.
a shoebill stork. I'd love you to tell me why is it also considered to be an ugly stork, just like the marabou. I've only seen the shoebill in a documentary before, a few documentaries, but yeah, they're not the most, they're very elegant, yes, but they definitely are not the prettiest of birds. So have a look. Our guinea fowl are doing what guinea fowl do best. They are seed eaters, these guinea fowl, helmeted guinea fowl. They are scurrying around in the ground, in the dirt, through elephant dung, looking for seeds, any food that they can find. So David has sent through a comment. David says, a nice bit of virtual birding has got my blood pressure down to an acceptable level this morning. So David, I agree with you there. My boyfriend and I went birding on the weekend. We both said how amazing it is when you go birding, how it just completely calms you, frees your mind of any worries and woes that you might have, and you just completely become completely drawn in and just focused on looking for birds. It's very good for the soul, I think. I think everyone needs a little bit of a birding session every now and then. So David, I'm glad that your blood pressure is acceptable this morning and that we continue to find some epic birds today. We are currently sitting on 14 birds for the morning. So yeah, we will try and check out as many locations as we can to see how many birds we can find today. So some other birds we can look for here are your spur fowls. You could commonly find some spur fowls here, as I mentioned the other day, possibly some hobbies or bigger birds of prey. Some kites, be good to find some kites over here. And again, all the vulture species. You often get sacred ibis do come down to this waterhole. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for all these birds today. So we have a question from Nara S is asking, what would happen if some bird species stopped migrating? So yeah, very good question. If some bird species stopped migrating, I think it would have quite a negative ripple effect on quite a few different species. So this would affect the birds themselves, because birds migrate in order to follow seasonal food patterns. They follow, like for example, your kestrels, your hobbies, your kites, they'll all be following the bursts of insects that come with the rainy season. So if a migratory bird did not migrate and stayed in its breeding area throughout the winter or dry season, many of these birds would actually starve due to lack of insects, nectar, and even seeds, because there would just be too many birds in one area. The breeding success of these bird species would also be compromised. So birds like swallows, cuckoos that would normally migrate would again have too many chicks in an area. That's too many chicks to feed, so it means less energy for breeding, less energy for finding food, looking for food. So of course their breeding would collapse, and again you would have much higher risks of predators feeding on some of these birds. So migration sometimes escapes predators or harsh climates. So these birds migrate to escape these factors, and if they stayed in one area, they'll probably be eaten by more predatory birds or be negatively impacted by the environment. So all in all, birds not migrating would impact not just the bird species themselves, but have an overall impact on the ecosystem as well, because these birds also provide food for other species. So yeah, as I mentioned, our entire ripple effect would take place if birds were to stop migrating. I hope that answers your question there, Nara. What other birds do we find? What other birds are out there? You can hear a little rattling testicular going crazy there. Could also find pied wagtails here. Good place for some pied wagtails. What little bird? Oh, we've got white-browed sparrow weavers. 2 white-browed sparrow weavers. They are very common in this area. Coming down for their little drink. Alrighty, so we have another question coming through. So Wild at Heart has sent through a comment: until elephants come into a garden of a house owner and then gets shot, even though she has calves by Zimbabwean national parks. Oh wow, yeah. So I think you're referring to some of the human wildlife conflict here, Wild at Heart. So yes, unfortunately areas like this do experience quite a lot of human wildlife conflict. They're very beautiful places, and again that's why people sometimes do need to be controlled by the controlling governments of those areas like national parks. Yeah, unfortunately these things do happen. Elephants coming and raiding vegetable gardens, raiding fields in Africa, all over, is a big problem. So that's why you have so many of these organizations trying to work as hard as they can to, one, educate, work together with the community and educate them on how to properly handle these wild animals coming and interfering in their lives. So yeah, education is very important, and control is also so important. Elephants don't always know that they're not supposed to eat those oranges that are so delicious for them, especially in the dry season when there's no food. So yes, I agree with you there, Wild at Heart. It can be a bit of a tricky situation when you have people and animals all living in close proximity. Let's see what else is. So we're going to wait here, folks, for the vulture feeding. Maybe we'll be able to tick off a few more bird species from our vulture list. So we haven't seen hooded vulture yet. So during the vulture feeding, we'll keep our eyes open for some hooded vultures. Right, so we're here watching the vulture feeding at the moment, folks, and we're looking for some hooded vultures to add to our list. Looks like these vultures have quite a feast waiting for them today, so we'll just enjoy this vulture feeding and see how many bird species we can get off our list today. So I always pray and dream that one day I'll find some cool vulture species. I mean, like Egyptian vulture, there are a few very rare sightings of Egyptian vulture in Zimbabwe. I think one was seen in Wangi National Park. But yeah, rare birds like the lapid-faced vulture. Would be cool to see a lapid-faced vulture coming down to this feeding site. Maybe even a white-headed vulture, but I've never seen white-headed. These are most likely our frequent visitors to the feeding is a few marabou storks with their very long legs. They are able to get into places and steal food away from the smaller vulture species. Then we have the white-backed vultures and our hooded vultures, all fighting away for every little morsel of food that they can get. So it wouldn't be uncommon to have some other rare vulture species in here. If those vultures were in the area, it'd be pretty easy for them to see that there's some food close by, and because vultures are scavengers and opportunistic, they would definitely take the chance to come down for a free meal. So we have a good question here while we're admiring the vulture feeding. Good question while we're at Victoria Falls from Spas Inco is asking, are Victoria Falls part of a national park or bigger protected area in Zimbabwe? I think it's a UNESCO site. It's one of the world wonders. So to answer your question, Spas, yes, the actual Victoria Falls itself is a one of the 7 wonders of the world. So it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It was inscribed in 1989 for its outstanding natural beauty and geological significance. So it's listed under the name Musi Oetunya, Victoria Falls, or the smoke that thunders. But the surrounding areas are all part of a national park, so the Zimbabwean government's national parks. And the park is relatively small. It's about 23 kilometers squared, but it's protected by a rainforest created by the spray of the falls. So that's the actual falls itself. That is a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well as a national park. And then of course you get the greater area, which is the rest of the area around Victoria Falls, which encompasses or includes Victoria Falls town, Zambezi National Park, and a lot of the surrounding areas, as well as waterfront areas on the Zambezi River itself. So Zambezi National Park is just upstream, so it's much larger. It's about 560 kilometers squared as opposed to 23 kilometers squared of the Victoria Falls. And again, it is a protected area surrounded by savannas and woodland corridors, as well as riverine habitat. So I hope that answers your question there, Spas. Wildlife Lady has sent through a comment. Good afternoon, Wildlife Lady, and thank you for joining us today. So far, Wildlife Lady, we started off the show with some massive herd of buffalo over at Nkoro, and we are doing some birding today, so it's really a pleasure to be here at the Vulture Restaurant in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe, catching a few vulture species, adding them to our list. And yeah, that's pretty much the show so far. So thank you for joining us, Wildlife Lady. Penelope Kenyon has sent through a comment. Yesterday, Penelope Kenyon had 10 different bird species at your 3 bars. I guess you've got little bird bars in your garden, and I guess the birds were loving their little bird bath in your garden. So well done for having these water sources available for your birds. If you are big into birding, or even if you would just like to promote birds in your garden area, it's always great to have a bird feeder out there. I know nowadays you get very fancy bird feeders with cameras and timers and all that you can actually set up a camera and watch your bird feeder 24 hours a day, take pictures, see what comes. It's very fancy, these bird feeders you get, but a simple little bird bath underneath a tap, dripping tap, also does a very good job for birds. So always great. Fig trees, as many trees you can have in your garden with fruit like fig trees, and any natural fruits, always great, attracts the birds into your garden. So well done, Penelope Kenyon. I had 2 bird lists over the weekend, and I got 40 birds on Saturday and 38 birds on Sunday, as well as a bird lifer. So I was very excited to find a nice little birding spot here in Johannesburg with such an enormous amount of bird life. So Mr. Elemental has a favorite bird. So apparently rattling cisticola is your favorite bird name. Yes, I agree with you there, Mr. Elemental. Lots of different syllables in the rattling cisticola. It does roll very nicely off the tongue. So we have another comment from Double P. Says, I heard elephants do not like bees, and in some areas people actually install beehives to deter elephants. So yes, Double P, we were talking earlier about human-wildlife conflict and how in areas like Victoria Falls, Wangi National Park, many areas in Botswana, other parts of Zimbabwe, South Africa, anywhere that you have wildlife and humans living together, you generally have some form of human-wildlife conflict, unfortunately. And yes, because of the loud sound that bees make, they are not, the sound is very annoying to elephants. They don't like the sound. So you get the the beehives, the trip lines. So what happens is you'll get farmers and they'll have beehives with a trip line in between each hive. So the minute an elephant tries to enter into your field, it kind of disturbs the trip line, and the bees then get disturbed, and that chases the elephants away. So that's one method that you can use to keep elephants away from your fields. Another one is chilies. Elephants do not like chilies. Very peppery, strong smell. It's not favorable to their very sensitive nose. So I know some farmers will plant lots of chilies around their gardens, or set up chili lines. You can plant chilies on the ground and then grow a lot of chilies and actually hang chili lines around your vegetables, or little chili bombs. Those also work pretty well. Trenches do also work, but elephants are quite clever, so I've seen them very easily pushing sand into trenches. But also a very effective method of keeping elephants out of your fields, your property, your farm, is something as simple as your black, I call it boma sheeting. So when they do the game capture for animals, it's this big black sheeting that you put up, and generally elephants won't go anywhere that they cannot see past. So if you put up this big black sheeting, make sure it's at least a good 5 to 8 meters high, so the elephants cannot see through it. They cannot see over it, and then generally elephants will never go somewhere that they can't see through or over, because walls and fences they can see through, and they very easily push their way through a wall or a fence. But this black sheeting can be quite a good method of keeping elephants out of your crops.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
What does it take to handle the wild? Balance.
Determination. Focus.
Yaku!
And gear that can take a beating, so you don't have to.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
Some of you out there are brilliant at identifying hyenas.
Now, why do you think people have got this huge misunderstanding about reptiles?
Right in front of me there was the face of an astounded buffalo bull.
This is live and interactive, so everybody, if you have any questions and comments, please do send them through and let us know what you'd like.
Or unlucky, you get some warthogs coming down to the vulture feeding. So warthogs are omnivores and they do often scavenge from kill sites. I've seen them eating stomach content before, which wasn't delightful, but they do need to feed on all this different kinds of carrion and food in order to sustain those large bodies of theirs. There was a cool video, a cool clip, I think about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, of some warthogs being groomed by some vultures. Alright folks, we've still got our buffaloes over at Nkoro, so why don't we head across to Nkoro and go and check out those buffalo before they disappear. Goodness gracious me, look at all these buffalo. It looks like they're quite comfortable here, these buffalo. Looks like they're hanging around for a bit. I would not even want to try to start counting these buffalo, because look how many there are. They are everywhere. There's 2 Egyptian geese also in the waterhole, being very brave while this buffalo herd is here. So we do get 4 different species of buffalo, or subspecies of buffalo. These are the Cape buffalo, you get the forest buffalo, there's also the Sudanese buffalo, which is a bit of an intermediate size found in East Africa, and you get the Nile buffalo, which is kind of in the northern range along the Nile region. There's been some debate in recent years about the forest buffalo being also split up into another subspecies to make 5 different buffalo species, the forest buffalo and the Central African buffalo, but I think they've found there's just too many similarities between the 2 species, so for now it just seems like there's 4 different species. I don't think I'd be as brave as this Egyptian goose to just be hanging out here. These buffalo are everywhere in this waterhole. It's not too deep, so they're really enjoying this nice shallow water, shallow and safe water, no crocodiles. So we've got a question here from David, is asking... Alright, I'll answer this question in a moment. Let's head across to Tower, folks, and see if we can catch some more birds. Oh, goodness. So we've got two giant crocodiles here. What on earth are they up to? There's also a black-winged stilt on the right-hand side here. Looks like it's having a bit of difficulty walking through this very thick reeds and vegetation. We had these crocodiles, again, I think there was some suspicious activity happening here not so long ago at Tau. Two crocodiles were mating, so hey, maybe there'll be a female crocodile looking for a nesting spot in September. So generally crocodiles nest in September, November. Oop, there's a waterbuck taking these crocodiles out, very suspicious. I think there's probably some more waterbuck on the other side of the bank there. So David is asking, can bee recordings also work to prevent elephants from accessing your farm? So David, yes, 100%. I think if you played a recording of bees, that would definitely be a good method to chase elephants away. Just as elephants do not like the sound of bees, they also do not like the sound of drones. So elephants pick up on that sound of drones very quickly, and especially if they're not used to the drones, it can really startle them and frighten them quite a lot. So yeah, ethics is always so important. If you are a drone owner, please always make sure you're very cautious in your practices while flying your drone. I do have a drone myself, and I always make sure you start as high as possible. Some animals can, if they're not feeding or in water, they can already pick your drone up at about 40 to 50 meters. So always start, if you're ever droning over animals, again, in a lot of national parks it is legal, so you'd need to make sure that wherever you're droning it's legal to fly your drone. Make sure you have your guide close by to give you some pointers and advice, and also to watch animal behavior. But always make sure you start as high as possible and then slowly bring it down. Generally, most places that I know that do allow drone flying, you're not allowed more than 45 meters above those animals. So yeah, always good to practice ethics there. You never want to disturb these animals with your drone. Alright, back to the birding. So we've got some common moorhens, or as I think it's now known as the Eurasian moorhen. There's quite a few of them here. They're very common at Tau. I think what did we also have here? We've had some Egyptian geese earlier at Nkoro. I think there's a red-knobbed coot that we just saw just at the water's edge. these waterbuck are looking like they're having a very lazy day. Oh, some teals. I think it could be some Cape teals. We just have at the edge of the screen here. This is a great spot for birding. I do love the birding here at Tau. You can get some incredible birds here. Look at these teals. Oh, we've got some blacksmith lapwings. We're ticking off quite a few birds on our list here. Great white egret and our spoonbill. So interesting. There's been a great white egret here for like the last week, as well as one spoonbill. Looking very lonesome on their own. Looks like they are trying to make friends. I wonder how that's going. Maybe they're trying to form a bit of a friendship here because they don't have any other birds at this waterhole that look like them. It's just been the two of them. So we've got a question here about chameleons. Let's have a look. What's this? Jean Grove is saying, afternoon all, was wondering, do you have chameleons there, and how many species do you have? So Jean Grove, we do have quite a few different chameleon species at most of these locations we've been at today. We do have quite a few different species. So there's around 20 plus species of chameleons that you get in the world. In South Africa, or in Africa, sorry. In South Africa, we do roughly get about 17 species. Zimbabwe, there's probably between 10 to 15 different species. But yeah, there's many different species that we do get in Southern Africa. So yeah, very cool, and would be awesome to see some chameleons. Let's see what other birds we can find here. There's our moorhens. These birds vocalizing. We've already got our red-knobbed coots, we've got our moorhens. So many moorhens. It's a perfect environment for these aquatic birds, lots of reeds, lots of vegetation, lots of feeding spots. Moorhen looks like it is in breeding plumage. So the male, coots, this red-knobbed coot looks like he is in breeding plumage. So when the males on breeding season, their knobs on the top of their heads swell, become very red, very prominent, to show the females that they are ready for mating. So we have a question here about buffalo. So Shelley is asking, do buffalo mark their territory? So Shelley, the African buffalo, Cape buffalo, don't necessarily mark or defend their territories in the same way that other mammals would, like rhinos or big cats. So yeah, their lifestyle is quite, they do move around quite a lot, and they need a lot of resources in order to feed themselves. So they won't necessarily live in one area. Yes, they might have areas they do prefer. Buffalo are quite nomadic grazers, so they move quite far distances for grazing purposes and for food, so they don't necessarily always stay in one fixed area. Just having a scan for any other birds that we can find. So Lenny has sent through a comment as well saying great close-up. So Lenny, yes, we have had some really cool close-ups today. Very big thanks to our zoomies out there for such incredible panning and zooming skills. Nice close-up of those crocodiles, very cool views of the buffalo, and of course some nice searching for birds over in Zimbabwe at, we got a bird, something. At Safari Lodge in Victoria Falls for the vulture feeding. Nice to see those vultures up close and personal, picking away at those bones. Oh, so we've got quite a few birds flying around there. We haven't seen any reed cormorants today. So I'm just having a look at the teals. So we saw some teals earlier. I wasn't sure if they were red-billed teals or Cape teals, but just having a look in the range here, it looks like it could be some Cape teals. So a little flock of Cape teals there. Often see lots of duck species here. So the teals, your Egyptian geese, sometimes spur-wing geese if we're lucky, and also the shelled ducks. And our spoonbill and great white egret look like they're still trying to make friends. Lots of rubbing posts here for warthogs. Nice waterbuck. Maybe there are some birds of prey. Black-winged kites would be an ideal bird of prey to find soaring over this area, maybe trying to pick up on any little murids. So Ollie is asking, are there any bird nests at this location? So Ollie, not that I'm aware of. Of course, all the water birds will be nesting in and around the reeds, which we might not always be able to see, so I wouldn't be surprised. The moorhens are probably nesting in this pan. But I do know we have over at Tembe, there is African fish eagle that had a juvenile at that location, and there was also some mating African fish eagle over in Camelthorne, Botswana. So yeah, those are the two nests at our location I know of. And then we do have those black eagles or Verreaux's eagles over at Salati and over at Walter Sisulu Botanical Gardens that do have chicks on their nests at the moment. So we got a comment from Deb D about our bird. So Deb D says the male ruby-throated hummingbird at your nectar feeder is the size of your pinky finger. Amazing to me. So Deb D, yes, I believe hummingbirds are some of the smallest birds with the fastest wing beat. We in Africa, we have the sunbirds, but their wing beat is not nearly as fast as those hummingbirds. So very cool sighting of your little hummingbird there, Deb D. We're continuing our birding mission of the day, scanning, looking to see what birds. We've got Natal spurred fowl, I think, that also occurred this pan that we haven't seen just yet. Just a big thanks to our zoomies for being so cooperative and helping us with our birding endeavors of the day. I think I have heard grey hornbills. You might find grey hornbills here at Tau. Mouse birds, might be nice to find some speckled mouse birds maybe through this area. We haven't seen our cattle egrets. I know when there's lots of zebra and wildebeest in this area, you find lots of cattle egrets. Normally the spots where the elephants all come down as well, and we can also keep an eye out for lions and cheetah. So I know here at Tau Game Reserve at this pan they do occasionally have sightings of lion and cheetah coming down to the waterhole. Alrighty folks, not having too much luck with our birds here, but we are grateful Tau has given us quite a few cool birds. Let's head back over to Old Donya and see what's happening there. We have a very impressive male eland that has also come to join us at the waterhole today. We came here earlier and there were lots of elephants, but now we have an eland that's also joined us, and looks like, is this a superb starling that we have here? Haven't seen those for a while. Check out this cool starling, isn't he beautiful? Giraffe are also trying to come in for a little bit of a drink if they get the opportunity. So I'm really hoping we'll get some wattle eyes also coming down. So as far as I'm aware, I think this is the superb starling. I'm not 100% up to scratch on my Kenyan birds, but yeah, I think we've seen them. I have seen them here a few times before. So it's quite a chunky, short-tailed, colourful savannah starling with that very noticeable white chest band and underparts, as well as the very rufous gold coloration. Oh, I think it's time. The elephants are about to have a bit of a splish and a splash. got a question here from Dark Mane Lover is asking, what is the rarest bird you've ever seen in the wild? Ooh. Dark Mane Lover, I have to think about that. What is the rarest birds? I know there's been lots of special birds I've seen in West Africa, like wattle eyes, that are pretty rare and uncommon, but I think probably one of the rarest birds I've seen is maybe like a black guinea fowl, and of course those plumed and crested guinea fowls are also quite rare as well. They do need thick forest regions, so they're very susceptible to habitat loss. So I think that would have to be my answer, Dark Mane Lovers, a black guinea fowl and maybe those plumed and crested guinea fowl. I'd love to know what your rarest bird that you have ever seen, if you want to send through your comments. This giraffe has been very brave all of a sudden. I mean, any moment these elephants could turn around and chase this eland and the giraffe. Mr. Elemental, I agree with you there. Those superb starlings are very well named. Lovely, lovely bird. Definitely rather superb. Looks like we've got some birds here. It's a laughing dove on the left hand side, and it could be a ring-necked dove. This is also the location we could look out for those widers. They have some epic widers here in Kenya, very cool and pretty colourful wider birds. Alrighty folks, why don't we head across to Camelthorn over in Botswana and see what else we can find. Ooh, fish eagle, oh my goodness, this is the African fish eagle. How epic is that? So these are, I just mentioned earlier that apparently some of our viewers saw these fish eagle mating not so long ago. So maybe they're also starting to prepare for their nesting season. Most of these big birds of prey do start nesting between August to November. They are monogamous birds, these African fish eagles, and aren't they magnificent? The hippo are reminding us that they do also live here as well. Dark Mane Lover sent through a comment saying the Ellies seem to rule the waterhole. So yes, Dark Mane Lover, those elephants at Oldonyo are really taking up a lot of space at the waterhole. But yeah, at least they're sharing their space with the giraffe, allowing the giraffe and that eland to come down for a drink. Last week there was a bit of a battle of the beasts between the zebra and the elephants, all trying. Gonna listen for a moment, maybe if we're lucky we'll hear the fish eagle call again. Looks like they're getting their full rays of sunshine. So these fish eagle have quite a varied diet. Not just do they feed on fish, but I have seen them catching smaller birds. They will catch smaller birds of prey. I've seen them eating small crocodiles, small little Nile crocodiles, monitor lizards, and yeah, any kind of smaller birds of prey. Well, smaller birds need to be careful. These fish eagle are around. So Dean is asking, are fish eagle born with that coloration? So no, Dean, fish eagle can take between about 4 to 5 years to develop their full adult colors. As with most big birds of prey as well as storks, they do take quite some time to develop their full adult colors, same as bataluas. Some big birds of prey even take up to 7 years to develop their full adult colors, so that they, when they do meet a mate or a partner, that they know that they are sexually mature if they're in full breeding plumage. So Catherine says her most rare bird that she has seen was a Cinderella waxbill. My goodness, Cinderella waxbill. That is quite a cool, rare little bird. How epic. Dark Mane Lover said it has seen a California condor in the wild. So Dark Mane Lover, I've also seen a condor. So condors in South America. So I guess that's also a pretty rare bird. But thanks for sharing your rarest bird with us, Dark Mane Lover. If any of our viewers would like to share their most rare bird sighting, please feel free to share that with us. I'd love to know what is the rarest bird you've ever seen. Wild at Heart is just sending a comment on how these fish eagle throw their heads back in flight while calling. Definitely is an iconic sound of Africa, and I agree with you there, Wild at Heart. Very, very special sound that these fish eagle make, and typical iconic sound of Africa. We kind of heard the fish eagle calling earlier, but I will play this call for you just in case we don't hear the call again. These fish eagle will also make quite messy, scruffy stick nests, or like on top of trees, very big trees, and they'll often use, just like with the black eagle or Verreaux's eagle, they'll often use the same nesting spot a few years in a row. They are quite territorial, so that call of theirs is a sign of their territorial behavior, just asserting their dominance in an area. And then they'll use the nest as many years in a row as they possibly can.
I met this remarkable rhino bull, whose name is Samson, last year in a place of extraordinary beauty, history and story. I'm going back there to see him in October, and I think you should come with me to his mysterious mountain fastness.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
Can you hear that? wild is calling.
In my yard, as well as a hummingbird. Very cool to have such beautiful birds in your garden there, Paula. Erica Oldno says, will the fish eagle nest down in the Western Cape, considering we are winter rainfall? Erica, that's a good question. I'm not... There we go, that's the call we were waiting for. So Erica, I'm not too sure if the fish eagle would nest down there in the Western Cape. I'm sure if it was too cold. They would definitely look for warmer areas. Just so amazing to be able to listen to this fish eagle vocalize. It's very special to watch these male and female fish eagles duet calling. How epic was that? Listening to the sounds of Africa from the comfort of our lounge. So Daniel Safir has sent through a comment. So apparently it's not rare, but you have seen a bald eagle up close. So Daniel, that is a pretty cool sighting to see a bald eagle so close and personal, even though they are not rare. But the bald eagle does look very similar to our African fish eagle, I must say. Josh Drawn has rare bird that he has seen is a group of ground hornbills in a tree beating like a drum. So those ground hornbills make that very iconic drum beating vocalization. I'm sure you all have heard maybe during our time at Mabula. Definitely a few days we had the ground hornbills on screen and we're able to hear them calling. So very special to be able to hear those southern ground hornbills. Also a very rare and endangered bird, one of the largest of the hornbill species. Paula has also saw a purple crested turako in the Kruger National Park. So Paula, those purple crested turakos are very beautiful. I love how many different colors they have. The turakos get their name from the turakin, that red iridescent color on their wings that reflects in the sunlight. So yeah, very cool birds, and I do love their call. They have a very cool call. Safari Cat saw a pygmy falcon in Samburu, Kenya. Very cool to see a little pygmy falcon. Do not know. Whoa. Looks like our fish eagles are off. So well done on your pygmy falcon sighting there, Safari Cat. So we get to see where these fish eagles have gone to. Maybe we'll find their nest at some stage, but looks like we've got a pod, or also known as a harem of hippo, out of the water. Alrighty folks, let's link over to the hide in Hwangi, Zimbabwe. So we have a lovely scene here of some elephants that have come down to the waterhole. We had some cool videos of Moto Moto, which is the naughty hippo at this pan that likes to chase other animals around. And yeah, last week he even chased a herd of elephants. Also keep an eye out for some birds, some cool birds we could find here. There's also secretary birds, Corey bustards. We had the herons not so long ago, a nice little grey heron that was at this pan too. So Sparsian Carve seems to be looking for some swifts. Unfortunately, it seems like only European swallows that are in your areas. All the best of luck trying to find your swifts, but nice sighting on your little owl and the peregrine falcon. We have another comment from Maisha saying, I've seen cockatoos. Oh, what beautiful cockatoos. Sounds like you've been to Australia, Maisha. Beautiful birds. Definitely a cool sighting to see in Australia. So we've got two. Disco Dave has sent a comment. My rarest bird is probably the critically endangered Balearic shearwater. To Disco Dave, I don't even know what that bird looks like, so I'm sure it is definitely a rare bird, so well done on your cunning birding skills there. Just interesting, just a dry season here in Wangi. Lovely to see all the grass changing colour. These elephants are just moving through very peacefully. I don't see any hippos today. This area is very well known for lots of cheetah, lions, and they've had quite a few leopard sightings recently in this park. So yeah, I'll always keep our eyes peeled. I wonder where our heron has gone to.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
Out here, every wild moment counts, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you will not miss out. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7, and you can even rewind if you have missed out on something. Enjoy the behind-the-scenes video clips as well as fireside chat, or get the early offers on our travel experiences. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
When it is born, weighs about 100 kilograms. Isn't that crazy? To weigh so much at birth. So you can see her collar here, this female. Is that a female? The lifespan of these giants of the savannah is about 50 to 70 years. And unlike most other animals that might survive longer in captivity, elephants much prefer to be in the wild and generally survive a lot longer in the wild. And it's amazing how silently these elephants walk. I'm sure If you've been in a camp in Africa and you get surprised by the fact that you could have had a whole herd of elephants walking around your tent, and the only time you heard them was when they started putting their trunks into the waterhole and hearing the sounds of the water dripping and the sounds of them putting the water into their mouth. So they're very silent when they walk due to those cushioned feet pads of theirs. And the social structure of these elephants is so important. The matriarchs know where all the prime feeding spots are, where the safe watering holes and watering areas are, what are areas that are not safe to move through. Very special place. You can see this waterhole surrounded by lots, pretty much open grass, savanna grassland area. Some of these areas in Wangi National Park are prehistoric inland lakes that used to at one stage be filled or covered with water. Lots of calcrete, which indicates a very salty, sandy ocean bed or water bed. And then there's lots of termite mounds around this waterhole. Kind of one of the flagships tree species in the area is the camelthorn or eriloba that occur in this area, and the elephants will be going and feeding on those pods in the dry season. They love to feed on those eriloba pods. Looks like we've got some kudu in the distance. Isn't this a lovely scene here? These elephants walking off into the distance. See, one of these females looks quite pregnant. She's quite bulgy on her sides. So a very good example of elephant populations and overpopulation of elephants is in this park in Wangi National Park, and I know a lot of Zimbabwean oldies, a lot of old conservationists in Zimbabwe can see the dramatic changes that these animals have caused to areas. So the waterholes are kind of a new thing in Wangi. Well, when I say new, I think some of these waterholes were installed in the 80s and 90s. So there didn't always used to be water here. So now there's a huge influx of elephants coming to this area from Botswana as well as Zambia. Alrighty folks, why don't we link back across to Camelthorn and see what's happening in Botswana. Looks like some of our elephant bulls have decided to have a bit of a swim. It's a very interesting interaction here that we might see between these elephants and the hippos. I know we had interesting behavior with a hippo that went and lay on a crocodile's tail here at Camelthorn last week. Rather unusual interaction. The crocodile didn't even move, so very strange behavior. We're talking about populations of elephants in certain areas. So Wangi National Park covers approximately 14,600 square kilometers and is not just Zimbabwe's but one of Africa's largest protected areas or national parks. And the elephant population within that area is kind of estimated to be between 40 and 50,000 elephants that inhabit that park, that move between Wangi National Park during the dry season, and in the green season they move to surrounding areas. But that park, looks like we're gonna have an elephant pool party. It must be quite a hot day over in Botswana for these two big elephant bulls to decide to just come and plonk themselves into this little pan here, chasing the hippos away from the little spot. Alright, so we've just linked across to Founders Lodge in Mantis to find ourselves a pied crow. So we had a pied crow here last week as well, and the shelled ducks also came in for a visit at this pan, so it was lovely to see those shelled ducks. If they're not at Tau, then you can only find these shelled ducks sometimes, if we're lucky, over at Founders Lodge pan here. Talking about last week, these pied crows and how intelligent they are. Got very good memories, so they can remember quite a variety of different calls. Oh, sounds like we've got some Egyptian geese also vocalizing. We've got some little pied wagtails. Oh, and that looks like a speckled pigeon, or two speckled pigeons, or formerly known as the rock pigeon. Oh, looks like oh yes, we've got our shelled ducks are still around. I think these are Cape crows now, so we had the pied crows earlier. And these look like the Cape crows, so they're completely black. There can be birds that do scavenge quite a lot, these crows. They do like to scavenge, although they can hunt as well, so they'll hunt smaller little birds like your waxbills. So we have a question here from Shelley. Shelley is asking, are crows classified as birds of prey? So I have seen crows hunting before, Shelley, but they're not necessarily classified as birds of prey, and that is because they do belong to a family of Corvidae, which is a family of ravens, magpies, as well as jays. These are speckled pigeons and our shelled ducks. So yeah, they're not necessarily classified as birds of prey. So the difference between these birds is that raptors have hooked bills, sharp talons, and strong feet for hunting and killing live prey, whereas crows have straight bills, so their beaks are kind of all-purpose. They do have quite weak feet, and they're more suitable for scavenging and foraging. So crows are omnivores. They will feed on carrion insects, seeds, fruits, eggs, and they will scrape and dig for food as well. So I hope that answers your question there. So crows are not necessarily classified as a bird of prey. They mostly scavenge. So Lady Macbeth is saying that it looks like it could be a white-necked raven. So I'm just going to check in my birding app here for you, Lady Macbeth. So while identifying birds, always good to check the range which these birds occur in. But yeah, the bill did look quite thick, had a little bit of a white tip on the end. So thanks for that ID. Lady Macbeth has confirmed that it was not a pied crow, it was a white-necked raven. As well as Catherine, thank you for the ID there. These Eastern Cape birds can be a bit confusing sometimes, but I guess the pied crow is a lot more white than that white-necked raven. Alright folks, why don't we head across to Victoria Falls and see if we can get some more birds there. So it looks like we still have a few vultures. Trying to see if there's anything left for them to feed on. So Wild at Heart is asking, Kerry, have you ever done a game count in Wangi? They usually do this every year in most game parks in Zimbabwe, also in Mana pools. Apparently you have done a few and loved every time you did these game counts, and it's usually over full moon. So Wild at Heart, yes, I have done a few game counts in Wangi, and I've also done in September, they also have World Vulture, the Vulture Day counting as well. I've done a few of those. They're always really cool, especially if you're organized and have enough tea and coffee and food to eat. But yeah, those 24-hour game counts in Wangi are very popular. Sometimes you have to actually book more than a year in advance in order to get a spot, and you sit up all night taking turns. Normally each platform or each pan will normally have at least 4 observers, 2 recorders and 2 observers, and you count every animal that comes into the waterhole. So yeah, very cool thing to do if you love wildlife and don't mind spending 24 hours out in the bush not getting much sleep. But yeah, definitely a very good initiative to help keep an eye on the populations in the park. So Wild at Heart, I hope if you are planning to book your next animal count or national park count, that you go and book your spot quickly, because I know those spots do fill up very quickly. Look at these vultures. So we've got one white-backed vulture and a few hooded vulture, all still looking to see if they can find food. So those hooded vultures' beaks are perfect for getting into these tiny little nooks and crannies and cracks and crevices in between the ribs and the spine there, in order to pick out any tiny little pieces of tissue that might be left. See the size difference in the bills between these Cape white-backed vultures and the hooded vultures.
I get to wake up every morning and go out there and look for cats. I get to create my everyday safari for myself. I grew up in the sort of central eastern suburbs of Johannesburg, fully qualified trails guide and a fully qualified nature conservationist. I love the wild places. I love being in the wilderness. It's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had and probably ever could have. Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a serviceman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected.
Are we stuck down there?
What am I trying to do?
Because we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
We are here with a male leopard.
quite an entertaining little video to watch. The warthogs were just napping very, very comfortably. They were not worried at all that the vultures were kind of very close by. So yeah, go have a look at the Africam Instagram page and see some of the videos that come up there. Definitely give you a bit of a laugh. I know there's the baboon that stole the pillow from one of the the camps. Yeah, he had a lot of fun with that pillow. So yeah, go have a look at the Africam page and see what other interesting wildlife sightings have been happening. So Vicky is asking, do any birds feed on bones like giraffe? So Vicky, osteophagia is the behavior of feeding on bones. And yes, I've seen white-backed vultures. Actually, what they'll do is they'll go and pick away at the tiny little flecks of bone in the elephant skulls or at old carcasses, especially during the nesting season. They need more calcium in their bodies so that their eggs are very strong, very hard, so they don't crack and break easily. So they'll go and pick at these tiny little bone fragments inside the skulls of elephants or at old kill sites in order to enrich their systems and their bodies with enough calcium. Lovely to see these vultures up close and personal, and also to see those bill sizes and shapes, and how interesting it is that these hooded vultures have such thin, narrow bills for getting into all those small little places, whereas your white-backed vultures, they have much larger, more cumbersome bills, more designed for ripping and pulling. So for example, if these little hooded vultures arrived at a dead carcass, they would not really be able to eat much until the white-backed vultures arrived and opened up the carcass. These hooded vultures, just like the batalua and crows or ravens, can mostly just pick at the eyes and the small fleshy bits, maybe in order to get a little bit of food, but they really do rely on these other vulture species to come and open up the kill for them so that they can get to the more tender pieces of tissue. So these little vultures, hooded vultures, only weigh between about 1 to 2 kilograms, and they have quite a small wingspan compared to other vulture species of about 150 to 170 centimeters. I do like that some of them have this bare pink face and head. So again, depending on their sexual maturity, so the young individuals will have a mostly black face, and as they mature and get older, then their face becomes a bit more pink in color. They are very well known for soaring. They do flap their wings at low altitudes and hang around urban areas as well. They are quite a widespread species across sub-Saharan Africa. So Darkmane Lover sent through a comment about how you love vultures. So Darkmane Lover, yes, I think vultures are definitely a species that are underappreciated and not always considered to be an important part of the ecosystem. I mean, these vultures, they do what no other creature on this earth could do, and they get rid of such noxious and toxic decaying flesh that would cause so much disease. So they're like a free waste disposal system of the bush. Have a look at this white-backed vulture's back there. Oh, the way he flopped, this vulture flopped onto the ground. It's like if you get home after a very long day at work and you just flop on the couch, just lie there for a moment. That's how I imagine these two vultures are feeling. They've had a very long Monday so far, and now they're just enjoying themselves lying on the ground. Really prominent white patch on these white-backed vultures that you can see now. So these little hooded vultures are also known as the micro cleaners. As we mentioned, the whiteback vultures feed on more larger pieces of meat and intestines, whereas these tiny little hooded vultures with that tiny thin narrow bill of theirs get into all those small places in between the bones, and they really clean up the final little bits of a carcass. So although they're quite timid and shy, while there's a feeding going on, they'll wait until they turn, and when the other vultures are finished feeding, that's when they come in and they clean up the rest of a kill. And they do form monogamous pairs, these hooded vultures. They'll nest in tall trees, sometimes even near villages for safety, generally only laying one egg at a time. Most of these bigger birds of prey, including vultures, our fish eagle, maybe even bataleur, most of these big birds of prey will nest, as I mentioned earlier, between August to November. And just as with the whiteback vultures, both of these vultures are considered as critically endangered, although I would consider them some of the most common vulture species that you do see in southern Africa, the white-backed and the hooded vulture. But these vulture species are under such threat due to habitat loss, poisoning, power lines. Alrighty folks, let's link across to one of our other waterholes and see what else we can find today. Righty, so we're still here at Safari Lodge. We've just linked across to another camera and we've got some monkey business happening. Always great to see these baboons, a female baboon and her little youngster. I'm sure the rest of the family is not too far behind. So Spas is asking about these vultures, how we could say a white-backed vulture is mature. So Spas, again, just the same as with our fish eagle, the white-backed vultures, very prominent features, that white patch on its back, and when they're young they're still quite mottledy and brown. So once that white patch has been fully developed, it's generally a good indicator that it is a full-grown adult. Otherwise, when they're younger, they're not as well put together, should we say. A lot more mottledy, less white, and less prominent features that have developed. You can see a few more baboons there, so probably a troop of baboons making its way through this area as they forage, coming down for a drink. There are, even though they don't seem like it, baboons are quite clean creatures. Not as much as vervet monkeys, but they will remove dirt, dead skin, ticks and fleas from their skin and other individuals in the group, which is known as allo grooming. So they do partake in allo grooming quite a lot, baboons, and it's a good way for social bonding and also in order to develop these hierarchies. So it's like a friendship currency almost. So it helps to build and strengthen relationships. And also in times, desperate times, it can also reduce stress and aggression within a troop. Something here, is it a mongoose? Could be slender mongoose around here. No, we do get dwarf. Oh, there we go. Looks like we have a little troop of banded mongoose coming through. So looking for some food. They are very good egg hunters or egg eaters. They love their protein. It's banded mongoose. Normally occur in little family groups, anything between about 5 to 30, 40 individuals. They do have a rounded, very short rounded ears, pointy snout for sniffing out insects. Check out that little guy, what is he digging for? So he could be digging for insects, beetles, larvae, caterpillars, termites, little small invertebrates. They will feed on fruit and carrion, And they're very well known for smashing eggs and snails against rocks. So it's amazing how they've adapted and learned how to use tools in order to feed. Alrighty folks, let's head across to Serendella and see what else is waiting for us there today. So we've got our 3 buffalo bulls. It could be the same buffalo bulls that we saw last week. So earlier we started the show at Nkoro with a big breeding herd, and this is a smaller bachelor group of buffalo. We mentioned that buffaloes are not as territorial as some other antelope species or some other animal species, although they might hang around in the same area, especially drainage lines, somewhere where there's water, mud wallows. If they enjoy the area, they'll hang out there for quite some time. Would not want to encounter these buffalo bulls in the bush. They can be quite nasty, quite aggressive.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
Even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh! Woo! This is action-packed.
Best sighting I've presented. I found myself with wild dogs. We chased the dogs around, chased them around. They ate an impala. We got the end of that. Then another impala went into Gowrie Dam down the road there, and the wild dogs went around. Eventually the impala came close to the bank. One wild dog went and grabbed it and then just pulled it out and just did what wild dogs do. It was an emotional experience, but it was very, very special.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. You'll gain access to the channel ad-free. You can rewind and rewatch sightings and gain access to our live Tuesday safaris. There's also behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and every safari live episode, whenever it suits you. It's just the best way to connect with nature.
Quite testy, quite aggressive or temperamental. Not as much as buffalo bulls, but these young elephant bulls decided on that day that they were not happy with the zebra being in their way of the water, so they gave them a bit of a chase. Well, the hippos have moved quite a lot, so it always amazes me how many hippos are at this pan. Isn't it crazy? And then we've got our little hippo crocodile cave that the hippos and crocodiles often use. Not sure what they would do in that cave. Again, nature can be quite confusing sometimes, but maybe just a nice place out of the water that's they're not being exposed to too much sun. still looking to see if our fish eagle are around. We had an epic sighting of the male and female fish eagle that live at this pan. We suspect there could be a nest somewhere close by. They were mating recently, so I suspect they are preparing for the nesting season. So we have a question here from Disco Dave is asking, what is the sex ratio for buffalo in the big herds, seen to be mostly females and youngsters with a few males? Are the other males like Ellie's with bigger bachelor groups? So Disco Dave, with these big breeding herds, buffalo breeding herds, typically the sex ratio will be about 3 to 4 females per every 1 adult buffalo bull. So for example, the average buffalo herd size that I normally see between say 20 to 30 individuals, you'll often have at least 5 to 7 big bulls within that herd, but some studies do show between 3 to 4 females to every 1 male. So this happens because many mature males do leave the herd once they reach the age of about 7 to 10, and that's when you need to get those dominant males to come back into the herd in order to, 1, protect the females, but 2, to reproduce as well. So Deb D, yes, it is so fascinating to see the different soil types, different habitats, different ecosystems at all of our different locations. And all these different factors do affect what animals, what bird life, what insects you might find at these different waterholes. So studying the habitat, if you're birding and you're trying to find new bird species, studying habitat can be quite an important factor, because then you learn where you can find all these different bird species and also at what times of the day. So you get some territorial birds or some birds that have very similar home ranges or habitats that they like to live in, and that can really help you in identifying these different bird species. This elephant bull is not happy to share his little water source here with the other bulls. Alrighty folks, well, for our bird list for the day, we have managed to get 33 birds today, so thank you everyone for helping with some of the bird IDs and sharing some of your favorite bird lifers that you have seen. We've had a really awesome day here today live at the waterhole, and I look forward to seeing you later in the week for some more birding and also just being able to appreciate these incredible locations across Africa. So from me and the rest of the Wild Earth team, I just want to say a big thanks to all of our viewers for your dedication and to watching the show with us. We will see you later in the week, and have a fabulous Monday.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We're heading out on a journey of natural discovery through some of South Africa's most beautiful and wilderness areas. The Greater Kruger, the Albany district of the Eastern Cape, and the mystical Waterberg. Each location has its own unique sense of place. Each offers something different, and all give a sense of peace and wonder. If you like what you see on Safari Spotlight, you can visit these special wild places by visiting Wild Earth Travel. We'll create your dream safari.